Yeah, I got a little brain game question for you guys. Saw this one on
Boom.
TikTok the other night. Thought it was pretty good.
Nice.
All
Do
right.
it.
So, if you had to commit one crime and
Ooh.
by doing so, you ensure that that crime can never be committed again,
Jesus.
what crime would you commit?
I mean, you can go like the worst of the worst,
Yeah.
but then you have to commit that crime, which I'm not capable of
Yeah.
committing a couple of those crimes I'm thinking of.
I know everything's on the table, murder, rape,
I
child
mean,
molestation,
Yeah, I
like
was gonna
all of it.
say,
Lopedo?
little
Yeah.
pedo. I mean,
No
See, that's,
no one can
yeah.
commit it again though. No one.
Well,
I mean,
first thing that came to mind is murder, but
first thing that came to mind for me was child molestation.
Yeah.
well, I
God
mean, I don't know what that
damn.
says about you, buddy.
Come on, man. I mean, it's a question.
First thing that came to my mind was touching kids.
That's probably the only question that I can get asked that's an acceptable answer.
Yeah, this is the only time.
But I mean, that's like the one thing that if I could eliminate would be to eliminate it. But then you have to go through the act of doing it yourself, which is
Yeah.
fucking disgusting and just wrong.
Yeah.
Ah, good question, Timbo.
Damn.
Thanks for bringing
It's
it
a
up.
tough one to think about.
Because murder is a loose term, you know? Like,
We're talking
it
like
depends how
first
you.
degree or all murder in general. So if I kill
Just
somebody, no one can kill anyone ever again.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that earlier because like it's kind of hard to decide what murder is. Like, if you're killing somebody
Yeah.
in war, is that murder? But
Exactly.
Or
if you're
premeditated only.
Well, that's dissecting it and getting to the 1.2s, 1.3s, 1A, 1B, like what is murder? Like cuz if someone's shooting up a goddamn school and you have the chance like you're the one behind with a gun to their head and you could stop it, but can't do it.
Does that
At the
mean that
same
you
time,
not
I guess
shooting up a
yeah,
school
they
either.
can't be shooting up the school. Yeah, that's true.
would
So
that mean you would have to shoot up a school in order to stop people
I mean, you
from
gotta at least
oh,
kill
Brad, that's not what
one
it means.
person in order for
Yeah, you know.
it doesn't have to
That's,
be kids.
that's most definitely not what it means.
Well, I had to ask, clarification of the rules. I don't know. I mean, that was just the first thing came to mind, but I don't know. I guess premeditated murder, maybe. Because if you just like, say you punch somebody and they fall back and hit their head on a rock and they die, I mean, it's murder, but
Jesus. Use your super.
yeah, well, they shouldn't have been standing there. I don't know.
I think it's. I, the weird thing is, I think it's a no-brainer, but at the same time, it's like the sacrifice that you individually have to make to prevent that despicable act. Like
Could you touch a kid?
you'd have to in order to fucking prevent it under the question, but you have to live with yourself with that, and it's just. But if it's all around, like
What if you
there's
just touch
so
their butthole?
we're not gonna dive down
All right, jokes,
the
people, jokes.
necessities
Let's,
of it.
they're just jokes, lighten the mood up. You know,
We're not going down that
yeah,
road
we're not
because I'm
going
not
down
gonna.
this road.
Hell no, I'm not gonna be like, well, this is what I would do. Just make comfortable.
I don't
But
know.
just
See,
like
I
just
couldn't do that.
imagine, yeah, but it's over. That would never happen again. There's so many stories and so many stories that you don't even see coming. Like, I mean, just think about people that you know personally around you, family members, girlfriends you've dated. They're those stories pop up, and then you're just like, what the fuck? Like I didn't know about these stories. Those were hidden stories, and it sucks because I'm sorry that happened to you.
Yeah. They're terrible stories. And, I've heard a few from a few people, and they're definitely, but could you be the hero? I mean, so to
I mean,
speak. I don't know if that's a hero, but I don't know.
yeah, it's like
It's a
you're
double edged sword for sure.
oh for sure because you would be a hero for
Okay,
forever.
so would you do it if nobody knew that's why you were doing it? They didn't know. All of a sudden, it just stops happening, but they don't know why. You're just the
Fuck,
last person that ever did it.
fuck that. I'd rather them know why I'm doing it. Like, hey, first off, I'm doing this for the better, so this will never happen again. Sure, they'll probably be like bullshit, but if it just randomly stopped happening because I did that, and then everybody knew I did that, I'd be branded as the nastiest fucking person ever, even though it stopped happening.
Yeah.
I'd rather be branded as like the person that stopped it.
The hero stopped it. Because, yeah,
But
you wouldn't do it for any other reason.
but you're the villain that stopped it without people giving you the recognition. Is that worth it? To
Well,
have your name tarnished.
here's my view on that type of stuff. So I know in like movies and I don't know books, stories, all time like the hero is always has his role and the villain is very clear, right? There's like okay, the good guy does these qualities, the bad guy does these cards. In real life, though, like there's plenty of modern day heroes. Nothing's ever clear cut like that. Like we're humans, we're not superheroes. We're not like oh we have this only moral code. Like say Batman, right? He has this moral code. He can't kill vigilante, fights against bad guys, but they never talk about like any like the deeper shit going on in him, right? Like who knows? Batman could have depression. I mean, he could have I don't know, his parents died and grew up rich and I'm sure it has a lot of qualities, but they never focus on that. In real life, it's never clear cut. It's not like, oh, well, I'm only the good guy and I only have these things. So, and to me, like the hero villain is always blurred. That's why I actually like the new Batman a lot because it actually showed more of like a darker side to him, which is more real to me. That's why I really
Mhm.
enjoyed it. But I don't know
I think
if
that's the
you guys think the same thing or not, but to me,
I think that's
that's
the big point of the hero, like the protagonist role in the superhero things is that it is completely selfless. And they have a selfless mindset about it. So that doesn't matter what the hell anyone else thinks about it, their message is always clear cut. This is why I'm doing it, and they never lose sight of it. Which kind of ties into Timbo's question is would you be willing to mindlessly like take yourself out of it and just focus on the greater good? Would you be able to do that even if it means you had to do terrible things?
see,
That's hard because that
it's
that becomes
tough.
an individual obstacle.
Oh yeah,
That's where you allow yourself to forget about the big picture,
yep.
and it turns into your moral compass is just fucked up because you know it's wrong. But in the bigger picture, it's like, would you allow 50 people to die or allow one of your family members to die? Like you could save your family member, but 50 people would die. Or would you say 50 people and allow your closest family member to die
Your
or your
closest
child?
one.
Yeah, like that's where it's like
50
it's tough
people are
because
going down.
Yeah.
Like I don't
Fuck
mind
those
being
50
that
people.
bad guy. You know what I
all
mean?
right,
Like
all right, 5,000. Like where's the line that you would draw
I
to?
don't know them.
Yeah,
That's fucked
exactly.
up.
I mean,
I don't
I
know.
mean
If it's my
that
closest family member, then
like
I'd
that
probably
that's
always
I
where
don't
it
choose
know.
becomes
them.
very I mean, selfish is fine, but that's where I think the whole moral of the question comes from is you have to be willing to affect yourself directly to fix a bigger problem? Like
Yeah.
where do you draw the line that's like the bigger problem is bigger than myself? And some people have it in them where they're just like, fuck it. Like, I see that picture because there's, 5,000 people like all of us that had all of their close family members die just to save one person. And you flip it around and they're just like, well, what kind of selfish prick would do that? It's one person. 5,000 different people are just like, well, I had my mom die. I had my dad die. I had my brother die. I had all these people die for what? For this person?
Yeah. Well, whenever we put that scenario, right, like a lot of people think it's just, you're on a train track and you have two different routes, either steer right or steer left.
Mm,
Like, I mean, it's never going to be that clear cut, but if you could choose, I guarantee you, majority of people would choose their family member and mow over like 50 people, 5,000 people in a heartbeat. They'd be like, sorry, shh. But like nobody bats an eye if 50 soldiers die. I mean, they kind of do, but like it doesn't affect anyone's day. If 50 soldiers die, we might have a moment of silence or something, but it's never like anything, heartbreaking or tearing everyone down. But
I think there lies the problem, though.
yeah, it sucks.
Like,
Not taking anything away from like school shootings and stuff, but that's like a big thing and it's terrible. All of it's terrible, is what I'm saying. But I guess, I don't know. I think that's why I think the world's a little fucked up is like, yeah, granted, kids are a little different. They haven't lived in their lives, but, life's a life. And if you're going to have like people die in general, but then people go and fight in a war and people are like, oh, that's just how it is.
or lie.
Yeah, that's not, people still die though. Like, that's why I think it's fucked up. And I don't know, people say what they want, but I don't know. I think unless it's a huge amount of population, I mean, I think people are going to choose their family member almost every time. I mean, I would. So selfishly as it is, I mean, I'm just being real. I'd be like, sorry, people. I don't know. It sucked, but how can you kill someone who's like been there for you and who've been so close to you? And you're going to choose them almost every time rather than 50 strangers who they could be assholes. They could be pieces of shit. They could be great people. You don't know. There could be a mix, but I don't know. Hopefully, a good thing, probably people are never going to be in that situation, but.
What do you think? Like, okay, scenario wise. So let's just say, let's stick with 50. You have
Cent?
50 cent, half a dollar.
Oh, yeah. Curtis
You have,
Jackson.
you have your dad sitting there, gun to his head, and you have 50 kids sitting there, and whichever one you choose, immediately dead. What do you think your dad would say to you in that moment? Do you think your dad would say, "Oh, fuck them kids, save me"?
No way. No.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a weird thought because I mean those are 50 lives compared to one life. But that one life is the one that you're familiar with. Imagine you had 6 months to get bonded with those 50 people, and then you had to make your choice.
Here's are terrible scenarios. Timbo, you got this one.
Terrible scenario. What a question, Tim. I'm sorry I dove deeper into it, but I mean that just
I
adds a
know,
layer
man.
to it. Or even a month. Like you had a month to spend with those 50 people.
Yeah,
You got to know their names. You got to know their
tough.
scenarios, their situations. Did that month make them more of an individual to you rather than just someone I'm passing by on the street? Like,
of course.
Yeah, for sure.
But it doesn't.
100% they would though. Like you would bond with them a little bit. You'd have to bond with at least some of them. It's just human nature. I don't know. I mean,
you probably pick like 10. I'm like, yeah, that guy fucking sucked. Go ahead, take him.
You start negotiating.
Give
me take 10.
That guy's a piece of work, but fuck him.
Yeah, I don't know. My mind, it works a little different than that. Like, if ever scenario even a little bit came up like that, like even if you had a bond, there'd be no way I would just sit and contemplating what to do. I would contemplate how to get out of it, how to, figure it out where didn't have to make that decision. Like whoever put him in that predicament, I'd be like, okay, well, how do we turn around on this motherfucker? What do we have to do? Especially if you have time to think about it. Like, all right, how do I find this guy? I'm not even going to think about which one I'm going to choose. I'm going to be like, okay, how do I find him? Where's he at? Let's figure this out.
But then all of a sudden everyone's dead because you can make up your mind. Kind of like the Saw series. Like
Well,
you have a
that's
choice.
like 30 seconds.
Imagine you had 10 seconds to
That's
make
all
the
you got.
decision.
Well, then I
I
don't
think
know.
naturally you'd be emotionally driven to side with like your close relative, or at the same time you'd have to be willing to, in that short time, realize that this is goodbye and I'm saving 50 people. And then that's, you even said it yourself, that's what your dad would be like, no, fuck me, like there's 50 other people over there, what are you doing saving me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess for me, it depends on the scenario. Like you were saying, if it's my dad sitting there, and 50 kids, I know he would say, later,
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
pick
you
me,
would
kids.
too though.
save
I
them.
would say that.
Oh, yeah, they haven't
But if
lived
it's,
life.
Yeah.
if it's one of my daughters and 50 other kids,
Mm-hmm. That's tough.
I'm sorry, those 50 other kids.
Yep. 50 other
That's,
daughters.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you're
Compared
not
to your
alone in
daughter.
that, though, guaranteed.
So there's 50 other parents that are like, what the fuck, man?
Fuck you, man.
Like,
Stop this.
yeah, right? You asked a question, man. What the fuck is your problem?
Damn it, what a rabbit hole we're going down.
Like, are you willing to go down your own depression and living with that choice to make 50 other people just like you say, hey, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I can never thank you enough because my daughter lived because of your decision. And then you hear that 50 times over. Or you could tell
Yeah, but you hear it 50
that,
times.
or you could tell your story 50 times to 50 different people. And they'll be like, yeah, well, my daughter's dead because of you. So thank you. And then next time you go to tell it, my daughter's dead because of you. Thank you. Over and over and over and over. Would that guilt overshadow like the lives he saved? It's weird. It's a terrible question.
Terrible question.
I'm not very happy with you, Timbo.
Yeah.
Hey, that's not
I'm
even the question I asked, damn it.
Yeah, that's true. We just
Yeah, I went down a murder rabbit hole. for
What's
a
the
while.
next one you got, buddy? What's the next one? Is it fucking harder than that one?
That's all
Yeah.
I got.
I mean,
Well,
good
probably
thing.
better.
Good
'Cause
thing.
you have 50 kids fucking deaths on your hand right now.
Oh, yeah. Scenario deaths.
Like,
Well
go
done.
home,
Put
go to
your
bed
kids
tonight
on.
and have terrible dreams.
Oh, yeah. Like, hey, daddy killed 50
Make a
kids tonight.
choice. Make
Good
a
to see you,
choice.
though.
But here's the thing, though. If you ever had to have that happen, anything, like afterwards, the aftermath, whatever you did choose, you just have to accept it. And you'd have to just be like, okay, I did what I did. I have to move on. Otherwise, you're going to eat yourself up, live in the past. Can't live with yourself, can't live a full life. Might as well just end it yourself then. Like,
Yeah, but I mean, that's
I
an
mean,
easy way to put it. You have to accept it, but the accepting it part is the hard part. You have
yeah.
to accept that you basically just killed 50 people.
I didn't say it was going to be easy. I'm saying
Yeah,
you
but
have to do it. I mean, it's no different than anything else in life. If you make a decision, you have to be like, okay, I made the
that's a
decision. I have to
little
live with it.
different.
Well, no, it's the same principle.
I mean,
Just
if
on
you
a
wanna go on-
big scale, and I know it's dumbing it down, but you have to dumb it down to the lowest point. Otherwise, you're literally going to eat yourself up. If you think about it like you're thinking about it, you're getting emotionally involved, and you're going to eat yourself alive forever.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds like heartless, but that's like you would have to. And I'm not saying it'd take like a day or an hour or like 2 seconds. Like, oh, yep, I live with my decision. No, but you would have to be like, okay, I live with my decision. And you'd have to work towards that all the time.
I think that
Otherwise,
take up your whole life doing it. Like that wouldn't go away. That
It
would
might
be
not.
accepting it, yeah. And
Well,
you get to
that's what
see
I'm
those
saying.
steps of like your kid graduating and all these milestones. But every little milestone, every birthday, everything like that would be like there's a whole bunch of birthdays that I'm selfishly loving this moment and enjoying this moment
No.
because
Well, that's not accepting it.
I wasn't willing to give this up for
That's
50
not
other people.
accepting it though. That's what I'm saying though. If you don't accept it, you will live in the past and you will regret your whole life and you will never live a full life because you can't deal with the decision that you made. If you deal with that decision, no matter how tough it is, and you're like, okay, I did what I did, it's over, it's done, it's gone. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to convince yourself or talk to yourself probably every day. But unless you do that, you're going to be doing exactly what you just said. Like, well, my kid lives and 50 others died and I'm enjoying this and they could have. I mean, you can't go back and change anything. So you have to like
Yeah.
just accept it. You know what I mean? As shitty and as heartless as it sounds, and it is, but like you have to,
I
otherwise, how can you live with yourself?
I don't think I could. I think it would be I would let the other 50 live, and that sucks because I'd be willing to deal with that decision by myself and let 50 other people enjoy themselves and let me endure my decision of letting my kid die, which is such a fucked up question. It's
It is.
terrible.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
really
It
but
is,
is.
but
it is, but
I don't.
that's still either way you win. I wasn't saying it had to be one way or the other. I was saying you'd have to accept it,
Yeah.
right? You just accept, okay, I let my kid die. I let 50 kids live. No matter if you want to justify it or whatever, you might probably have
Mhm.
to, human nature, but you have to accept it sooner or later to be like, okay, I did what I did. I can't change it. I can't go back. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is move forward. I don't know. I just think that's such a life principle, like just in life in general, over anything, but it applies to so many basic bottom, rules, but
Mhm.
you can apply it to everything. But if you don't do that, though, like you'll literally just be in your head all the time. Like you see it with people all the time or in movies. How many times do people sit and live with regret or, you know,
That
they're,
flashbacks and
yeah, flashbacks or they're, still getting schmammered, like blackout drunk every night. And they're like, 50, 60 years old and they just can't deal with it. That's what happens if you don't accept what you did. Like, no matter what you chose, you'd have to be like, hey, well, I did what I did. This is why. I accept all of the consequences that came along with it. And I made my choice and I have to move on. And there's going to be plenty of PTSD and nightmares and plenty of that stuff, but like you have to accept it and work towards that. Otherwise, you might as well just end it yourself because you're not going to live, you know?
Yeah,
otherwise
you don't
you're
have to forget it. You just you have to move on. It's gonna be there with you forever, but you can't
Exactly.
just you can't hang on to that guilt forever and let it consume you.
Yeah.
A little bit
yeah,
of little bit of sadness and like you were saying PTSD, that's definitely gonna happen, but
Yeah. And you
got to
could
move on.
donate to charity funds or, do whatever you got to do. But like you have to get to a point eventually, hopefully sooner than later, that you just like accept it and just,
there's a huge difference in what you're saying. Like you can't just forget it because it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna forget it.
Yeah. No, never.
But
no, but maybe
and
you
what
could do
Brad was
like
saying, you have to
a
accept it. Like you
yeah,
have to. There's a difference between accepting it and forgetting it because forgetting it is more heartless and it's like you just pretend it didn't happen. And if you have that ability just to that didn't happen, then that's sociopath. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
there's
seriously.
not a lot of people that can forget it. It's you have to accept it and deal with that particular heartbreak. And when it comes up, yeah, it might hurt, but you've already taken that head on, and it's not gonna define you anymore. But
Exactly.
doesn't mean that you don't have feelings towards it, and it won't from time to time choke you up or whatever the situation is. But
It'll
you've
affect you
you've
your entire
already
life.
you've already taken that battle on, and
Yeah,
you won that battle.
you know,
So
I'm not in that scenario, but the only thing I could think, like, to try to turn it into like somewhat of a positive is like maybe donate to a charity or like, dedicate part of your life or life's work or something to betterment of other people to try to at least, turn that, you know, scenario or whatever happened to you, like the fucked up shit that happened. Like you'd have to try to do something to, I don't know, I guess make up for it, but you can't. But I mean, you got to forgive yourself and you got to live with it. I guarantee that all of us, if we had to make a decision, we'd probably dedicate some, if not a big portion of our lives to like helping out kids or whatever, whether that be like coaching or, at the hospital or make a wish or whatever. Like, guarantee you do something towards that to at
the
least,
funny thing is you'll do it on a small scale of not financial wise, but you'll see yourself taking those lessons and everything like that and applying it to your own children as kind of like this is my way of trying to pay it back to you
yeah,
because
pay it back's a
I
good
had to
word.
do, I had to do this, I had to do this, so I'm paying it back to you so you don't have to do this and you'll never have to experience this. You're probably gonna experience shit that I never had to experience either, but that's where it just continues on and
Yep.
almost like a legacy. Just keep it going, like pay it forward because the shit that I had to go through, you don't have to go through
Yep.
because I made it a point that you don't have to go through that. The shit you're gonna go through because of my parenting style, like div- just to make sure you didn't have to go through what I didn't go through, made you go through something else, and now you pass that particular lesson on, and it's nonstop because the lessons that your grandparents or your parents will tell you, like, kind of blows your mind, and then you're like, well, I didn't have to deal with that. I mean, there's a reason you have to deal with that
Yep.
because they made damn sure you didn't have to deal with that. Doesn't mean you don't deal with your own shit, but that particular thing you dealt with, you're gonna make sure that your offspring doesn't deal with that.
Yeah. And I think that's why we're in a cycle, the same cycle. Like, strong men create good times. Good times create weak men. Weak men create tough times. Tough times create strong men. I think that's why the cycle always continues, is because we try to pass down these lessons or say, well, I don't want this to happen to my kid, or I don't want to be as tough, or I don't want to go through. Sooner or later, it hits a bottom, and then you're fucked. And then, we got a world full of sissies, you know, so to speak, and then the world's in a shithole, and then it creates tough people because that's the only way to get through tough times. I think that's why that's why the cycle always has been and always will probably continue, because us as humans, it's just natural for us to do that. Well, I don't want to make sure I went through that. It was so traumatic for me, or it was so hard on me. I don't want to put my kid through that, even though it probably made you who you are. You know, that's
Yeah,
a
but it's
tough
just
one.
it's a matter of how you decide to like go through a road when that particular question comes up. You can either choose to shelter them from it or let them take it head on and deal with it themselves. And it's a parenting approach because there's definitely a fine line because there's coddling and oh I don't want you to ever have to even come close to what I had dealt with. But if scenarios happen and you apply that, then they'll never learn because you're figuring it out for them. You'll
Yep.
do it. Like mom and dad will take care of it. And mom and dad take care of it, and that just becomes the norm. And then when this shit happens to them, when you're not around, they're taking on life by themselves. It's always well, mom and dad will take care of this without even trying to figure it out yourself. And then you've kind of set you set them up for you've protected them to a point where you don't want them to deal with it, and now they're going to deal with something worse because of your sheltering, coddling.
Right.
You've done them an injustice on
Oh
not
yeah.
setting them up to prepare for themselves.
Yes. That's essentially what it is. You're crippling the kids, you know,
Mm-hmm.
giving them a crutch the whole life. And that's why a lot of people, you know, I'm sure you guys know as well as I know, and they're around, that people can't stand on their own 2 feet. You know, they can't sustain jobs, or they can, but they don't really stay in house, or they gotta always live with people, or they just can't stand on their own 2 feet. And I attest a lot of that to coddling too much, or never letting them learn to walk. Like if you don't let them
Mm-hmm.
struggle and let them go through stuff, they're never going to learn, and they're always going to have that fallback safety net, and that's your it.
They don't want to because they've never had to.
Yep.
They just have that backup, that someone there to hold their hand, and there's so many tough decisions you have to make as a parent to protect your kid, but at the same time let them be a kid. I can't stop them from making the same mistakes I did just because I know what the outcome's going to be. You know,
Oh yeah.
I can't stop my kids from diving for a line drive because that's how I broke my wrist playing baseball. Like, let
Yeah.
them play. They can't
Yep.
be afraid to go for that, to take risks, and
Nah, you can't
you
instill
know,
that fear into them, otherwise never gonna go through it. Because if you're afraid of it and you're their big bad dad, then they're gonna be afraid.
yeah,
That's why it's a tough one, and especially as like young adults and stuff. I see a lot of people who can't, who always they get coddled or everything handed to them or whatever, and now that they get older, they're still not standing on their own feet because they're never allowed to, or they're always had a fallback plan. Like if you take that away from them, then guess what? People figure it out. You know, one of my favorite quotes from Tony Robbins, and this applies to lot more than that, but he always says, if you want to take the island, burn the boats. So to me, that means, hey, if there's no way back, you can only go forward. Whether that's taking the island or, whether that's following your dreams, right? If you have a safety net, then you probably won't push as hard. If you have no safety net, you're going to go get it. Or if you're can't make rent, whatever, and your mommy says, no, you can't move back in, guess what? You're going to figure it the fuck out, and you're going to make rent.
yeah.
Or,
I've had to sell a lot of my shit to
yeah.
figure it out,
Oh, yeah. I had to figure it out plenty of time, and I made
or
it.
sell other things. You know,
Oh, yeah. Your body.
I wish that would have been much better.
Got a bill.
Good for
Yeah.
everybody in this
Oh,
situation.
yeah. Still in debt. But you know what I mean? Like, if you don't learn that, if you always have a safety net all times, then you don't move forward. And I don't know. That's why I focus on so much of like, I don't know. I guess they're core values ish, but yeah, let's just go with core values, right? So if you can base a lot of that on a lot of your teachings, I like coaching, coaching football, of helping out the younger generation. I love it. I really try to like, that being said, those are fucking tough motherfuckers. They don't pay attention. They don't fucking listen. Annoying. But that being said, like, I don't know. My main focus is to like look at more of like, a life lesson or like a value rather than trying to teach kids like a certain scenario, like a certain situation. Because in my experience, I've tried to help out a lot of buddies, you know, even some random, younger kids at the bar that I kind of know that I'm like, hey, dude, you probably shouldn't be doing this. And people like to learn the hard way. They don't like to listen,
Yeah.
right? They have to figure it out, and that's just human nature. And I'm the same way, to a degree. A lot of people are. They have to learn for themselves. You can tell them all the time. You can lead a horse to water doesn't mean he's gonna drink, right? So if you try to teach everyone, they don't like lessons. They have to learn it themselves. But I figured out if you teach people more of like a core value or like a bigger life lesson rather than a certain scenario, people actually listen more and they can piece together themselves and it makes sense to them and then they end up making the right decision. So that's what I've learned a lot in life about teaching younger kids or football or sports or whatever. That worked, and that's what I'm gonna try to keep doing and instilling in the younger generation or kids in general. Like, because I figured out, at least for me, that works the best. Is teaching like life shit rather than like, hey, don't do this because this is gonna happen. Because then they're gonna be like, no, well, I want to try to see if it's gonna happen to me. Maybe I'm different. But if you teach them more life shit or more bigger things, they may be like, well, this kind of conflicts with that, so maybe I won't do it.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard, especially my particular situation where, you know, my daughter, found out that I wasn't her real dad, and she found out about the story of her dad, and I was trying so hard. Like, I mean, you were with me, Brad, when I was going through my, emotional time of like I've been dad this whole time, and then for her to start viewing me differently, it was hard for me to accept because I've instilled those same values like from day one. Tried tried to teach her, tried to raise her. The same values were with
Which
my son.
values?
I mean, just everything. Just
Okay.
discipline. Respecting people. Everything from the get go. Like I had a little 2-year-old girl that she is now 8 years old and finding this news out. And she took it pretty hard and I didn't know how to take it. It kind of caught me off guard. And I kind of lost myself in that role. Like I always knew I was dad, but then when she started questioning it, it kind of made it tough. But bringing back, so I was still in that limbo of I know I'm your dad. I'm you know sitting here trying to raise you still, and but making it more of a point to focus on you. But she wrote me a note one day, and I'm going to share with you this note because it was so random and it just speaks to how much they actually absorb and they know what's going on, even though you feel like you're all knowing and have to teach them lessons. They can sit you down and teach you a lesson too. So what she
Wait,
wrote to
you
me, she's
have the
like,
note?
"Oh yeah, it's right here, bro. I keep it on
Buddy.
I keep it in my wallet because it meant that much to me." So she said, "Good start, dear Dad. I love you. You are trying so hard to be my dad, and you can stop. No, you are perfect. We all love you. You are so sweet to me. Thank you. Love, Jaden." She basically told me, "Hey, you're my dad. You don't have to try so hard to be my dad. You are my dad." And it was just like
It's a big
humbling
one.
moment for me. Oh yeah, it was huge. From a
Oh,
eight
how
year
old
old.
was she? 8?
She's 8. Yeah.
Wow.
She's about to have her ninth birthday, and she noticed that
Early.
I was kind of dealing with that while she was dealing with her own huge issue that happened to her.
Kids are smart.
But she knows how, yeah, they absorb everything. But she knows how hard I was trying to fill that gap for her. And in turn, she needed to, kind of sit me down and be like, "You're good, man. Like
You're good.
you have been my dad. Like, so don't stress about that." But
Well,
I
that's the
mean,
lesson, people got to learn, But if I told you that, it wouldn't have meant as
oh,
much, you'd have probably still been doing the same stuff. Like,
yep.
doesn't really
I
matter
did.
how much, you respect what I say. Like, that's what I'm saying though. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you got to learn for yourself on a lot. And, oh, yeah, keep it in your wallet nice and
Yeah,
tight, nice and
Yeah,
safe.
I keep her in my
That
wallet. It's
one's a good
probably
one to
yeah,
keep, man.
fair.
yeah, that's a special one.
It's huge. And the funny thing is, like, she got that little habit because I always write little notes to like her, her mom, to my son. I'll leave them little notes around the house and just something that they'll find later on. And so she started doing that. Like my wife went up
Mm.
to work, for a week, and my daughter put a note in her jacket that she thought she was going to take up, but she never took it up to go work with her. And then she came back. I mean, a couple weeks later, she reached in her that particular jacket pocket, and my daughter had wrote her note of, just always chase your dreams. I'm like, what the fuck? You're 8 years old. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It was crazy, like how much they actually know, and
You better
they
show her
listen.
that one when she gets older.
Oh yeah.
Say, remember you wrote me this, chase your dreams. You chase your dreams.
Mm-hmm.
Because life has a funny way of beating you down.
It does too. I mean, that's a hell of a good point, though. It's like, just look what you wrote me when you were 8 years old. Like, now I'm gonna, sometime along in life, she's gonna be struggling, and I can show her this, pure note that she wrote me.
Yep.
Like, hey, remember what you said to me? I'm saying it to you now.
Oh, yeah. She'll need it sooner or later. It's going to be a hard hitter, too.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good move though, Bert. I
Yeah,
like it.
yeah, it'll be a good one. Because
Yeah.
kids are so pure at heart, Like, they haven't been beat down by life yet. I mean, a little bit in their own way. They've been through stuff, but by the time, 30, older, whatever,
Oh yeah.
like you've been through some shit. Everyone has been through shit. That's why.
Just imagine how much shit comes up with you, even, you think back to your childhood, or, random thing that happened when you were, 12, 13, and it's now applying to you. And you're realizing that you're acting a certain way because of something that happens when you were a kid. And
Isn't that fucked
it,
up?
it's so weird. But that's where, as a
Yeah.
parent, going through something like that, you were so aware of it that you were almost trying too hard to prevent that shit from happening. But you can do that over and over and over, and you think you did a good job, and they're gonna glob onto one thing that
Yeah.
hurt their feelings or that changed the way they thought, or something,
Yeah.
and they're going to use that as like a, oh, this is why I do this. This is why I do this, and you'll never know until the time comes. Like, you have that hard conversation with, they'll bring something up to you, and you might not even remember what the fuck happened, but they do.
Yeah.
And you can't tell them that that's not how it was, because that's all they know how it was.
Well, so that brings up an interesting point real quick. So, like when I grew up, I bottled everything up. You know, went through, some shit as a kid, and then you grow up and you learn to still bottle it up because that's what got you through it when you were younger. You know, it wasn't till shit, probably I got married to my wife. She made me open up, like talk, because she talks a lot.
Hmm. Well,
And, and she pesters and tried to get shit out of me. And I was closed book. And, eventually I was like, yeah, this is so much healthier, so much better just to let it out rather than bottling up. But yeah, I mean, it's just things you learn as a kid that maybe not people don't know, but like that's just a habit. Like you just went through a bunch of shit and you're like, I'm just bottled up because I don't have anyone to you feel like as a kid you don't have anyone to like rely on or tell to or so you just bottled up and you're like, I gotta handle it. Okay, well I've been through shit. Okay, well I gotta fucking to get through this because people are counting on me or your
hmm.
sisters or whoever in your family. Like you have to get through it, so you learn certain traits, I guess you call them, as a kid and you carry those over. It's not till, I don't know. I really think it's not till you start like looking at yourself like in the mirror, looking deep into yourself and being honest with yourself that you learn a lot of shit about yourself. You're like, hey, well, you bottle shit up a lot. You know,
Mm.
you do this, or when when you're upset, you shut down. When you're upset, you overreact. When you're upset, you know do certain things, and like it's not until then and you look at it, and it's hard to look at it in the moment, but like if you look at it, a lot of times people need someone there like shaking them out of it, and no matter how much they hate it, you know, it's not until
It's
then you
impossible.
realize.
You can't look at it differently until someone comes and tells you that you need to look at it differently. And
Yeah.
then once you start to see it, because my particular situation, I grew up with all brothers, never had a girl in the family. And, my mom
I grew up with all
left when I was.
sisters.
You did?
Oh yeah, all girls. I was the
Oh,
only
see,
boy.
I had 0 girls in my family. My mom was the only one, and then my mom left when I was 11. So it immediately turned into just all boys. My brother, or actually all my brothers, who my brothers ended up leaving with my mom when she was 14. So it just turned into I have no female perspective other than my grandma, who's just a full coddler. And I realized it. It felt nice at the time, and I took advantage of it. But I realized like how that wasn't the way for me. And so I grew up going from, a bunch of brothers to a grandma who coddles me to graduate high school. I'm letting loose, and there's nobody that can tell me what to do anymore, like at all. I can't be hurt by people. I can't do this. But it all comes back and hits you so damn hard until you actually face it. Those are your issues. This is what you have to deal with. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with, those times of just having fun because you don't even realize something is kind of, sheltering you from being able to think about that. You're kind of blocking it out and just having a good time. But then when life starts to hit you and you think of like situations and you're actually, you're past the fun stage and you're having to deal with things and having to deal with why you react to certain things or why you are the type of parent you are, then it makes you look in the mirror and just be like, well, should I have dealt with this earlier, or is now the perfect time to deal with it? Like, was I, mentally able to deal with it before I had kids, or is it now that I can kind of see where they're coming from, or see the obstacles, or see what it takes to have to care for somebody else to really put yourself in their shoes? And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I mean, Timbo.
Oh yeah, I agree with you on that, and a lot of that, but I kind of had the same upbringing. I mean, I had my dad in the picture too, but my parents were divorced. Mostly sisters growing up. I had a brother, but um, I guess I don't ever really look back on things as far as like, oh, what should I have done different? Could I have done this different? I just kind of deal with it in the now, and like if I'm stuck in a situation, I don't ever really I, I guess I don't look back and think, damn, how could I have done this different before? I guess in some ways I do, but
You
there's nothing I can
accept.
change about that.
Exactly. You
Yeah, I just
accept
I just, deal with it as it comes and
bringing it
like, oh
back.
shit, I'm in this situation right now. I'm gonna have to deal with it now. What I did before, it is what it is. But I see what you're saying though too. Like I
Dude, what sucks about me is that I've kind of realized exactly like how I am as a person and as a parent that I'm not going to let my kids go through what I went through, and I do my best to never let that happen. But at the same time, I haven't fully dealt with my demons in the past, but I don't let them see that. And I mean, it's a very delicate process, and I've tried to deal with it. I've tried to, take it head on, and it beats me up. But I don't want my kids to ever see that. And they'll ask me questions about it, just being upfront, just talking about, you know, my mom and my whole, because I led like two different lives, like my up until I was 10, 11 years old to, you know, now. My up until I was 10 was a huge, I mean, weird foundation that I base how I raise my kids on, but it still affects me. And I notice it affects me, but I don't let it affect my kids. I try not to let it affect my marriage, but my wife is really good about, helping me through that and actually, wanting me to open my eyes about it. It's just a thing that I've buried so well that it sucks to like bring it back up and have to deal with it when I already have so much other shit on my plate and trying to raise children, but then deal with my own issues. It just, in a weird way, it kind of seems selfish for me. Like, well, I have to deal with this, but I have to, raise my kids. But I know that if I don't deal with this, then it's going to ultimately affect my kids. But
Mm-hmm.
this is the fuel that I've used to not let it affect my kids. And so I just sit here and endure.
Well, it might be affecting them, and you might not know. But
Yeah.
As a person dealing with things, and I have kids, but person who dealt with things, like it leaks over no matter what, right? It leaks off in scenarios, whether that's friends or spouse or kids or whatever. Everything leaks over. I mean, to be honest, bro, it'll get easier if you hit it head on. I think if you kind of drag it out, it's I don't know. To me, dragging it out, it always seems better in the moment. It always seems easier, but it's actually just so much harder on you almost every time. And I've had to learn the hard way plenty of times about it. And it's fucking sucks. But that's one thing that I've learned in my 32 years is you take it head on, you deal with it. Everything after that, it just seems so easy compared to, trying to fight 29 battles at the same time rather than, okay, I'm going to take this on, I'm going to deal with it. And,
Yeah.
people are very understanding. Kids are smart. Spouses are smart.
They're too smart.
Too smart. They know what's going on. Like if you're dealing with shit, it's easier, maybe put it to the side and maybe it'll affect you or not. But if you deal with it, and one thing when you were saying that, P, is one thing that just stuck with me is so my wife, I don't want to go into too much of her story. Maybe I'll let her explain it one day, but um, she was an addict once upon a time. And she said, and I'll never forget, she was very upset at her parents that they never told her that, they tried some hard shit. They went into it and they dabbled into it or whatever. And she was very upset. And she's like, I could have, it was behind hindsight, obviously, but could have looked back and been like, okay, well, my parents have addictive personalities. Maybe I have one too, and kind of maybe took a different path or went down a different road. And, she wouldn't change anything, but like she just wishes that they were more open and honest about it. And I don't know why it's just been sticking with me ever since I've ever heard it, but just being open, honest, and because like, she likes to go down to 3B and tell her story and about the kids and make sure they stay out of trouble and, like to give back and stuff. And so that is one thing that she just wishes that that her parents were open and honest about that shit. Because if they were, she feels like she would have been able to reach out to them when stuff was going on before it got as bad as it did,
Yeah.
you know, or any of that. So I mean,
The hard thing
that's
about that is like, as a parent, you are trying to portray that you got it all together, and if they need any answers, they can come and ask you anything. So to admit to not only yourself but to admit to your kids that you have a problem is almost impossible, because if they're
yeah, but you don't have it all
not
together.
yeah, but if they're not bringing it up to you, like, at what point do you bring it up to them? Because then it kind of opens that door, like, well, I didn't know you were going through that. And it's just a self thing. Like, you I could, tomorrow just go let the kids know that I have a huge issue with this. These are all my problems and this is what I'm going through. Would they receive it the same way that they would, 15, 20 years from now, when they may look back and be like, "Oh, I wish you had told me that."
I
It could.
guess I don't know. I guess I don't have a great answer for that. Maybe think of back when you started having those problems. Like at
Yeah.
that point in time, maybe base the relevance off of that. Like, maybe you started drinking beers when you're,
14.
15, 14. Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe that's a good starting point to base it off of, maybe. Or, maybe other traumatic stuff or whatever happened. But, it's not going to be perfect, but maybe try to base it off of that point in time.
Yeah, it's kind of like the old birds and the bees talk. But you
Yeah.
gotta
Yeah, that
try to
was my
pick
Oh
the
first thing.
my gosh, bro.
hey, you
That
gotta pick
talk's coming
the
up.
right time. I mean, you don't want to talk to them about it when they're like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Know, late junior high, high school years. You gotta talk to them and be straightforward and honest with them. Like that's something that I kind of told myself I wanted to do with my kids is tell them what what I did, what I've been through, what I tried, I don't want to hold back. I don't want that feeling. I don't want, them feeling like, "Oh, I wish you would have told me that."
Yeah.
Little
Cuz
tips
that
and tricks.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
Nice.
Well,
Teach
don't
'em.
do that.
Yeah, this is how a gravity bomb works.
Oh,
Oh, hello.
what's
Yeah.
funny and it kind of caught me off guard is my son was talking about like the one thing that he wished he could do, and like I had overheard it, and then I asked him, and he's like, "Have sex," and I was like, "You're 9. Like, what the
Jeez.
fuck?" Like,
Damn.
I didn't know how to approach, and I still haven't approached that. But he like laughed it off.
Yeah.
But
Let me see your
it's hard for
phone.
me to be. It's any recommendations? What links are you looking at? I'll
Yeah.
send you a few.
How many rabbit holes you got now, buddy?
But it's just weird because, like, I mean, I was actually thinking back because I was listening to one of our podcasts earlier, and you had asked me if growing up in a split home had changed the way I parented. And at the time, I was just like, no, it hasn't. But I actually thought about that listening back, and I was like, yeah, that actually has, because now, like, the uncontrollable that I have, like, I can't have that conversation with him. I can relay that message to his mom and his stepdad, and you know maybe kind of come in cahoots of how we're going to approach it. But that came out of nowhere to me, and it may have been a conversation they've already had or something that they already know about, unless we're constantly in communication talking about his feelings and his desires, sure.
The
But it's just like,
lotion, Jergens.
I'm just oh yeah, the stiff socks around the house. Bunch of ankle socks, but you'll get there, buddy. You'll
Work.
graduate to tube socks.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah, you
you
work your
worry.
way up, buddy. Angles.
Bunch of ankle socks. But it's just so weird because those are conversations that I'm gonna have to have with not only him, and maybe he's not comfortable talking to me about it. Maybe he's comfortable talking to his mom about it,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna have that third party conversation with her. But I guarantee it's gonna be, him coming to me first and talking about it, and then I'm gonna be the one that talks to him or talks to his mom. It's like, what are you doing? Are you buying him Jimmy's? What's going on? Like,
Yeah, come on. Let him practice.
he's curious, but then at the same time, I have my daughter,
Scared.
which is he's curious.
He's curious.
Then I have my daughter though, it's just me and my wife, and she's majority of the time only child, and I like I said, was never I never grew up with girls. Like I had my mom and my grandma, and they're two complete opposite people. So going through like the whole, her potentially having her period soon because she's already got BO.
Hello.
Yeah, she already gets BO.
What?
And anytime she talks about boys all the time, I'm just like, what's his major? Oh, he's a third grader. Like,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right, maybe a little too early. Like,
How tall
but
is he?
yeah, exactly.
What's his bench press?
Yeah.
What a pussy. You don't want him. He can't protect you. But I know those are coming up, and I feel like I'm mentally prepared, but I know I'm gonna get hit with the curveball because I have to be ready for that moment, and then also I have to be stable in my own life that I can't let what's going on in my life affect my answer to her questions.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but it will though.
it will, but I
It
can't.
will.
But that's what I'm saying is like those moments and those situations are going to be remembered by her for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm.
And if my particular, mood in that
Oh,
week
okay. You're
is
saying like
off,
moody, emotional. Okay, I gotcha.
yeah. Well, like if my mood, or let's say I'm having a fucking terrible week at work, and my answer to whatever she's going through is projected that way, that's how she's going to remember that particular answer is that I was pissed off or I didn't care or something, or I shook it off, like deal with it. When if
Like
I was
Ricky
in a
Bobby, if you're not first, you're last.
exactly, I mean, well, not exactly, it's unexactly, but if
Yeah.
I was in a better headspace, I could answer a question better and deal with
But could
that.
you come back to that though? So say you answered it shitty, right? So you answered it terribly, and then the next day you realize that you were a shithead. Could you go back and talk to her and be like, hey, I was
Maybe,
having a rough time, you know?
but that's come from my mentality to her mentality. Like those, in order for that to work and actually her to receive that message would have to be you know coordinating. Like I just because I had a bad day, she'd be like, oh, now he's just apologizing for a shitty answer, he's trying to make up
Maybe,
for it.
maybe, but that thing is an adult. But P, I think that's an impossible task, man. I think you're being a little hard on yourself. I mean, nobody's perfect. Nobody's gonna have all the answers. I mean, who says that even if you're in the right headspace that it's the right answer? Maybe you are in a point in your life where you think it is, but then you find out later on down the road that it's a different answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think, if I don't know, if you make a bad thing and it affects them or whatever, I think, I think that you could go back and talk to people, just like you can go back and talk to a buddy, like, hey man, I fucked up. I was being an asshole. That's my bad. This is kind of where I'm at. This is what I'm thinking. we're
Yeah.
kind of human and stuff. I just think to think that, you're going to nail every question or every thing and you have to be in the right answer in the right headspace and you have to nail it every time. I think it's an impossible task, man. Because we're human, we make mistakes. I just think, if you do the best you can, you know, if you make mistakes, yeah, go back and apologize or make up for them or do that. But,
Well, it's
I just
funny
think it's
because
an impossible task, bro.
because even you saying that, like, I kind of have like a moment of I had never really thought of it that way, but I realize that I'm probably doing that because of my past, and then because of what I've been through trying to raise her, and the simple fact that she wrote me that note, basically saying, "You're trying so hard to be my
Trying so
dad.
hard,
You can
man.
stop."
Yeah.
It's actually no, that was good. That was a good moment for me because
Good, man.
yeah,
This
I
is why
really
we do
do.
this shit, bro. That's good,
Exactly.
man.
Keep it.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Good. Making me feel good,
yeah,
too.
it
Well,
is a
grab
really
a
good
beer.
point. It's a really
Yeah.
good point too, because just going back and talking to them, if it's your kid, going back and talking to them and admitting that you were wrong and explaining where you were at and then just revisiting that topic, it teaches them that lesson to admit that they're wrong and that they can always come back and talk about it again, apologize. They don't have to just accept that. Like, oh, damn it, that's all.
Yeah.
That,
Funny thing is, she could probably look at all my failures and then my comebacks
still think you're a
of
great dad.
yeah, and think more of me because of that.
Yeah,
And
that's what I'm saying.
when I view myself, it's just like I beat myself up over that. Oh, I'm sorry I put you through this. I'm sorry I put you through this. But bouncing back and you know the little things that maybe I wasn't even trying for at that moment, but that's what she grasped onto. She probably could have already grasped onto 50 things that she views as like how she's why she loves me and why I am her dad and why she's you know 10 years from now going to remember this particular situation when I view it as like fuck I could have done more. I could have done more. And she's like, "No, you're good.
Yeah. She could,
You
you
already
know,
did it."
she could love the fact that you were willing to go back and admit that you're wrong, like you're saying, Timo. Like, that's a huge lesson. I think it's a huge lesson to teach your kids, too, because honestly, it doesn't happen in the world enough.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to admit they were wrong. Like, that's why there's so many. I mean, it's one example. There's so many keyboard warriors out there never
Mhm.
admit they're wrong. There's, oh my, I'm right, and they fight to the death about it. How many relationships are ruined because people can't admit they're wrong? They just
How
fight to
many
the death about it. To be right for what? To sacrifice for what?
how many
For
individual
pride?
fights that happen that you in your mind are just like I could end this fight, but
Yeah,
I just don't want to admit that I'm in the wrong.
yeah,
When you can actually like step back and think about it and just be like, yeah, I'm in the wrong. Just apologize, suck it up. Like, what do you lose? Nothing.
yeah.
Like
What? A little pride that
you,
you. That's what?
who cares? Who
Yeah.
like pride
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 don't mean
towards who?
shit. Your pride doesn't mean anything. You
Yeah,
know.
but if they come back and rub it in your face later, round two,
Oh
fight.
yeah, well that's called
We'll
heart.
go for it.
It's called heart. I ain't giving up for shit. All right, we're battling. I'm gonna win.
Oh yeah, I just got revived. We're going again.
Oh yeah, but you know that's I I'm guilty of it, man. I used to battle against things, and sooner or later just realized I was like, what is this for? I'm miserable right now. I'm super unhappy. What did I just do? For what? And you realize it months down the road or a month or whatever, or, few
10 years.
relationships passed or, I don't know. I was stubborn. Long time. But, then, one day just realize like, hey, what the fuck are you doing? What are you fighting for? Like, what are you
Like
doing? You're
why?
going to ruin everything for what? So you can be
Hmm.
right? Cool. Where did that
Full of
get you?
fear.
Right fucking here, right where you're at right now, miserable as fuck. And I think it just takes, at least for me, like hitting a fucking tough spot in your life. Like, what's it for?
The sad thing
And you know,
is you'll probably go through a bunch of them situations where you look back on it and you're like, what the fuck? What was I doing? Like, why was I being that way? And it
oh,
only adds like building blocks towards, where you're going next. And the biggest thing is if you can actually look back at that and just be like, no, that was a terrible, result, and I didn't gain anything out of it. And then at the same time, you could just be like, there's no point to this. Like,
yeah.
I will be okay with just being like, yeah, I'm wrong. So be it. The hard thing is when if you know you're right
Well,
and you're
that one,
battling for what, like, is it worth that
yeah.
little battle of being like, yeah, I'm right, or is it worth letting it go to just be like, it's not
Oh,
worth it?
that's a marriage tactic, buddy.
No, oh yeah.
But yeah, that
Those
one, that
ones,
one's more like,
those
hey, let's
ones.
keep the peace.
Oh
But
yeah, you
but
go to bed.
yeah, that one's a little bit different. But like, as in just like fighting for pride or whatever, or fighting for just willing to be admit that you're wrong is such a huge maturity step, like in life, and it'll take you places. Promise for you, those out there listening. Like, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to admit that you're fucking wrong. Everybody's wrong sometimes. Not everybody's perfect. Guess what? How do you figure out the right way? You do the wrong shit enough times, you figure out the right way. Or you learn from other people's mistakes, you know?
And some people learn it a lot faster than others. Some people have to
Yeah.
go through a lot different things to learn it. Some people don't even have to go through a whole hell of a lot to learn it. They just know it and they just understand it.
Yeah. Because
Those
they
those are
understand the
gems, by the
logic.
way.
Yeah.
Those are gems. They just get it.
Yep.
Some people have to go through fucking hell to be able to learn that lesson. But
Well, that's funny because I'm that way on some things, and other ways I learn the hard way. Like some things I'm just like,
mhm.
what the fuck? No, no, no. I already know that where that goes. In some ways, learn the hard way, and I don't know. That's just life, man. But that's all part of living. It's what you learn, and that's
Oh yeah.
why we talk about it. Pass knowledge down. And by the way, dude, I love those like aha moments you had tonight. Those are my favorite. 'Cause
Those are great, man.
I have them
Because
too. I have them by sometimes just listening to the back, like our podcast back over from
mhm.
weeks ago. You know, those are some
I
of my
mean,
favorites.
even just listening to me talk out loud on previous podcasts, I'm just like, no, like I don't agree with what I'm saying.
Oh
Like
yeah,
I'll listen to it and be like, that's just kind of how I was feeling in the moment. But even not like stewing on it or listening, thinking about it too much. But when it came out of my mouth, I'm just like, no, not really. Like
yep,
I've had time to kind of think more of it, or just lived a little bit more life.
yeah,
Week by week, little things that happen.
right,
But I will say one thing that, learning those lessons and learning them the hard way is it's taxing, that's for sure. Because you come to a point where you're just like, okay, when's it gonna stop? Like, because I feel like I'm getting beat up over and over, and yeah, I'm gathering all this knowledge, and I'm bettering myself as a person, and
hmm
then it seems like life will just continue to hit you and hit you and hit you, and you're just like, well, I've already figured all this stuff out. I became my best version of myself. Am I now taking this as like I have to learn more lessons right now? When can I have my break?
Well, let me weigh on that one a little bit. So
Mindset.
mindset.
Right.
So
Like where you going with it?
yep,
Yep. Figured.
mindset, and it's kind of a kind of how you think about it, right? So I've thought that many times. Beat down, what the fuck? Why? I mean, those times are good to think of, like those give me motivation, right? Where, you're sitting back and you're like, fuck, parents are getting divorced. This is shitty. I have to move fucking 1,000 miles. You know, you just think of like shitty moments, right? Those give you a lot of drive. But to me, that's all that they're good for is a little bit of drive. So my mindset is, instead of thinking like, okay, this shitty thing, this shitty thing, this shitty thing, when it will end, when is it, when's my break time? To be honest, it never stops. Never, ever stops. And I don't think it ever will. If you look at parents or family or even successful people, there's always obstacles. If you just think like, okay, it doesn't matter what comes my way, I'm a beast. I'm going to make it through it because I'm the man and ain't nobody going to stop me. Okay. Keep that mindset, right? So when you think of it, okay, well, instead of thinking like all these bad things are coming at me, okay, now it's an obstacle. Okay, instead of thinking like the bad about the obstacle, how do I get around it? How do I move past it? If you just think that, you're thinking forward, progressive, positive, rather than negative things coming at you, hitting you, holding you back. It's when you think of things holding you back, it's like a negative, right? But you think of, hey, how do I move forward? How do I move around them? It's a positive. So if you just keep that, and it ain't easy. I have to listen to motivational speakers. I listen to quotes. I listen to things to keep me going, because sometimes life beats you down and you're like, fuck, man, I'm fucking tired. I'm beat up. And then I'm like, well, okay, let me listen to some Steve Harvey. Let me listen to Eric Thomas, my boy. He gets me fired up. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. This ain't shit. Let's go. And then you're like, okay. And then you hit another wave and you go around it. And for me, like when I think of how to move past all this stuff, right? I'm like, okay, well, this shitty thing happened. What am I going to do? How am I going to get around it? Okay. For me, when I'm like, okay, how do I get around it? When you hit a point of rest, it's not like, oh, thank God nothing's attacking me anymore. When I hit a point of rest after that, it lets me sit in the moment and like appreciate things more, of like where I'm at in life, and how far I've gotten from where I was and where I'm at, and be able to it just lets me personally like sit in the moment and be just grateful about things, because there was a long time I couldn't, because I was like, fuck, man, this nothing stops, nothing keeps coming at me, like, what the fuck, man, I've been through shit, I'm gonna, you're gonna send more shit and more shit and more shit and more shit. And then it wasn't until I changed that I was able to like sit in peace and be like, thank you. I'm so grateful I can walk. I'm so grateful I can see. I'm grateful I have a car that I can go to work that doesn't break down. I'm grateful I have a house. I'm grateful I have my dogs and my, wife, a baby on the way. That was a tough one. Took a long time for that. Like, it lets me sit and appreciate things a lot more. And it's hard to appreciate things when the, shit's coming, but there's going to be breaks. There always is. But let you appreciate it, and let you enjoy life. It lets you sit on the golf course and be like, man, it's such a beautiful day. I'm happy I can be out here and just sit here on my day off and have a beer with my boys and just enjoy it, rather than being like, oh, man, this shit keeps coming to get me. Finally out golf, finally. It's just a different mindset. And that's all it really took, though. It's weird and it's not easy, but oddly enough, like, that's what it took. And it just, I don't know, it gave me a lot of peace.
Yeah, I think it's really important to celebrate all your wins, even the small ones. Once you get something small accomplished. Like at work right now, I'm dealing with a ton of shit. We're trying to expand and build all these new programs, and it's overwhelming at times. And I find myself just being like, fuck, I've got all this stuff on my plate right now. But I just remember once I get that one done, I get to even if I just get to brag to my coworkers sitting next to me, like, hey, remember that report I've been bitching about for the last few days? Fucking nailed it. Did that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just feels, yeah, it feels great to get those little things done and celebrate, even in the smallest ways. Like you were saying, out on the golf course, have a beer with your buddies. That's the
Yep.
kind of shit that gets me through those tough times. Is I'm gonna get through it and I'm gonna fucking celebrate this,
Ah,
even if it's the smallest thing.
yeah, I think that's an awesome point. That's one thing I need to do a little more. Celebrate little shit. I know I really focus on being grateful about things, but celebration is a huge thing. Celebrating a promotion or yeah, like you're saying, what have you accomplished? Just celebrating some milestones, really, and they don't even have to be big. But that's one thing that I need to do better on, and I know I do, and I try, but it's definitely like a back burner one, which I probably should change that, swap that around a little higher position. You know,
I don't think about it half the time. Like I think about it later and I'm like, oh yeah, I did kind of like I celebrated that a little bit. I was proud of myself. Even that is just enough celebration sometimes. I don't have to go take a vacation and
yeah,
go fucking go out and get shit faced because I did something cool. Like I was fucking proud of myself for doing that. I
yeah,
bragged a little bit.
right,
That was good. It drives me to keep accomplishing things.
yeah. And what's funny is like all these things, right, that we talk about and see this, they're all learned, right? You have to learn, you have to fail, and you have to not do them. You have to be at a point where you fail. Like there was, like I was saying, plenty of points where I was like, fuck, man, that world's, don't like me, but I failed, so much that, sooner or later you either learn or go through something or something happens where the light bulb comes on and it just happens, or you hear something from someone and you piece this together and piece that together, and you just learn all these things. So like for everyone
Uh,
out there who doesn't have this mindset or isn't quite there or whatever, not saying that it's perfect or whatever, but like everyone goes through their shit. Everyone learns at their own pace.
oh
100%.
yeah, and everyone learns in different situations. Like
Yeah.
I've I've been, I'd say like the past 3 4 years of my life have been crazy, been turmoil, but I'm still here, and I'm still plugging along and doing what I can. I attest a decent amount to it to my wife, and we went through this battle together because I didn't realize she was going through the same stuff that I was, as far as like anxiety and just kind of working through depression situations together and just kind of like a failure feeling. But then I built her up and she built me up. And once we came to that point, like it's so crazy how much like different my marriage is from right now to where it began. Like I know why I married her, but now I know why I love her and why I'm going to stay with her. And little example. So I even was telling you about this earlier, Brad. Like, so we're going through financial troubles and same scenario you were talking about earlier. Life keeps kicking you. Like
Mm-hmm.
things happen over and over and over, and I do find myself a lot of times just what like when is it gonna end? Like when do I catch my break? Why do I get on my feet and then I get leg swept again, and then all of a sudden I'm just back on the ground, and it's
Yeah.
frustrating, and because
It's
I
frustrating.
know I know how hard we both work, and we don't get to, have the fruits of our labor because we work our ass off. And I wanted to buy a video game. Simple. I haven't bought a video game in months. I usually buy a fucking golf pass every year when we're in a good spot in our lives.
Sheesh.
$900. Can't afford it this year.
Sheesh.
I've already sacrificed not being able to do that. And then now I'm just like, I just want to buy a video game just to let me, kind of unwind. And then I text her about it. I text her and asked her, I was like, so what do you think about me getting Elden Ring name drop? Little Elden
Oh.
Ring name drop. And $60 is kind of a big deal for us lately.
Yeah, 60
So,
bucks is 60 bucks, you know what I'm saying?
well, you can't argue that one. That's about as true as it can get. But it was just like you know, kind of a big deal. So I know what $60 what it means. And I text her and she's like, "Well, yeah, that's okay. I think it's a good idea." And I was like, I text her back and I was like, "For real?" Because I've been really dying to play it. And she texts me back with just like the most simple little piece of knowledge that I kind of forget from time to time because I'm so caught up in trying to make shit work. She's like, "Yeah, for real. You work your butt off and you deserve to treat yourself. We can't just work our butts off and never do anything for ourselves." And I was just like, "You're getting
Yeah, put
oral
yourself
tonight.
in hello.
Eat that."
Hello. 2 times.
What?
Uh,
Well played. Yeah, she went to bed early, and I was playing Elden Ring, so that didn't
well,
happen.
yeah. It didn't pan out, but
But the moral of the story is, treat
No,
yourself.
that's awesome though. That's one
But
of the best things you could have said, and so
oh yeah,
true.
because I'm like in my mind of trying to make shit work, and I know she's doing the same thing. We're just trying to make financial struggles, which was, a big obstacle in our marriage early on, and it caused rifts that something like that just shows the progress that we had made together. And sure, she didn't get oral, but I did get to play Elden Ring, so the win-win,
Sometimes
fellas.
you got to put yourself first,
Oh
buddy.
yeah, sometimes you just gotta, shoot your shot, shoot the text.
Oh yeah. Like, well, if you don't want to fell asleep, then she knows
You know,
that. But no, I think that's awesome, and I kind of joked around about putting yourself first, but you have to. If you put everyone else
mhm.
happiness before yourself, you're not going to be happy. You can't be because you're worrying about what everyone else is happy. And I think putting yourself first is awesome. Not being selfish, there's a difference, but making
Yeah,
making
there's a big difference there.
yeah, making yourself so if you put yourself first and you make yourself happy, you're going to then in turn make the people around you happy. So it's like a win-win for everyone.
Yeah.
And honestly, that almost does more than trying to make them happy, doing things for them, because the
Mhm.
people around you love you for you. They don't love you for, hey, you bought me some cool shit, you know?
Prime example. So it was my last day with my son here. He left for 2 weeks
Son?
today, and I had one day. I had Memorial Day. Man, my wife had to work. It was just me, my son, and my daughter, and we had no money in the account. I was planning for $20 to go do something, and then I got a text from my wife like, this bill came out. Can't use the debit card. We had so $0 in the bank. And I was like, well, fuck, what am I supposed to go do now? So let's think of something. I took all the scrap wood that I had in my garage and went and built a fort in my unfinished basement. It meant the world to him. And that was a lot bigger than going to, you know, jump or go doing something fun like that because it was personal. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
I made I made that for them. And it took like 2 hours. and it's not going to pass inspection. I'll tell you that much. There's
Well,
no framing code or anything going on.
well,
There's
yeah.
random 2x4s hanging, but
Oh,
it
yeah.
it's
You
built
got the
and it's
tetanus
there.
shots, right?
Well, no, but I never said I was the best at it. I was just saying if you got balling on a budget, I'll take your scrap wood and build a fort. But I mean, that meant more to them than if I would have taken them out to do some stupid shit. And I had to go the whole next day. I was like, well, I won't go out and buy any lunch. I'll just, make whatever the hell we have here. But those little sacrifices that me and my wife go through to make our kids happy, like they won't they won't know that we go through that. And I make it a point to not let them know that I'm going through that. Just, well, we can't go spend money. I'm not gonna be like, well, this costs $40. We don't have $40. Just like, oh, let's do this instead. And
Yeah. There's
that
no
was more than
point of putting a
$40 to them.
negative connotation on it.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, you could
or
have put
making
in blankets and pillows and they'd have loved it,
oh they loved it, but I took it to the next level because I felt
Oh, a little wood. Little woodchuck, good chuck wood, buddy. Yeah, just remind me of the gutter, buddy.
hey, feel the wood.
You said he brought wood down, nailed up a fort.
It was scrap wood. All right.
Scrap, I forgot the scrap part. My bad.
There was no full wood, I'll tell you that.
Hello, goddamn.
These are like 4 inches of wood at a time.
Goddamn.
Bunch of Lincoln logs.
Uh,
But it was pretty cool because I let them use the impact gun and just let them screw the screws into the wood
damn.
and just made them more involved. Like so they felt like they were part of building their fort, even though it was like the worst fort ever. I'm ashamed of that fort. There's,
Said I lied
but
about that.
they
No, they
fucking love
loved
it.
it, guaranteed.
They loved
That's
it. Yeah, sure. Braden stripped a bunch of screws, but we
well,
won't go
yeah.
there. I'll have to, teach him the proper screwing techniques
Well, shit.
in
Birds and
due
the
time.
bees.
Yeah, there you go, Timbo. I mean, he's already 9 talking about it. I'm not gonna give him like a video or anything, but
Well, no. Hey, let me ask you. It's been on my mind for I don't know, a couple weeks now, right?
all right, go ahead.
Dimbo, let me fire your way. Okay. So you think about games, right? Board games, video games, sports, everything. What are the traits that it takes to win? Okay, say, I don't know, you can choose one, right? What are the traits, skills, whatever it takes to beat the game?
For me, it's just practice. Honestly, I mean, I guess like board games. Well, board games too. Once you kind of figure it out and play it enough times, there's certain strategy games that you can practice enough and learn all the tricks to win the game. But when we're talking about sports and video games, for me, it's just practice and consistency and dedication. Like if you wanna win, you have to put in the work. So that's to me, that's how you win the game. Um,
Yeah.
if you don't show
But
up to practice, you're not gonna excel. You're not gonna be that team member that helps elevate your team to the win. And but with board games, I guess it's a little different. There's certain strategy. There's some people it just comes naturally to. They're smarter than you if it comes to Monopoly or Risk. But even that, you play it enough times, you're gonna figure it out and be able to win that shit.
like
Right.
experience and wits,
Yeah.
that's what I'd go with. The
See,
wits are one thing.
Yeah.
those are good answers. Those are all things you need, right?
Yeah. I think of Kobe Bryant. Like he's the hardest working person ever. Just practice harder than anybody. And
Hmm
that's why he excelled, why he was the
He's
best.
yep, one of my favorites. He's about the only person I put up with Jordan
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh
because
yeah.
Jordan too.
Jordan. Well,
Fucking
Uh,
Jordan's a little different because I think Jordan had a obsession with
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, true.
more than Kobe wanted to win. He will do anything to win. He wanted to, hey, you think you're better than me? I'm going to take you out. Jordan was like, hey, I have to win. He like more than obsessed. And I think Kobe was I think you have to be obsessed to a point to be that great. But like
Mhm.
Jordan, I don't know. I think that's why you don't hear many motivational stuff from him, or he doesn't do like many speeches or help out, because I think his is more just an obsession. Like he was just like obsessed with winning, and
That's why you hear stories about him and not from him.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
How he was the best, and he was the best, but I think he was obsessed. That's why I love Kobe, because I love his mentality and
Mm.
hard work and push. But so Timbo, with all those practice, um, wits, I think you said P, termination, right? So if life is a game, how do you win at life?
Damn, that's a deep question.
Can
Yeah.
can you
I think
transfer
just
skills, like, or is it the same concept or base core values from games to life?
yes, yeah. I mean, I feel like with enough practice or learning from mistakes and um, looking back on what you did or seeing what other people did,
Actually, let me
there's
pause you, Timbo, real quick. You said it's tougher as life, right? You said it's a tougher question now that it's live. Why is it different, or why is it tougher than just a game?
I guess just there's well, I guess it's not that much tougher. You just have to look at it different and look at those different things you need to work on. Like, if it's me, I'm looking at soccer. Like all right, I got to work on my left footed shots. Yeah, that's where I'm struggling. But
Right.
if it's life, you just have to look at it a different view. Like, oh, okay, it's financial decisions I have to look at and learn where I'm making those mistakes. How did I fuck up? Am I taking the wrong step here before I shoot the ball, or am I not thinking about what is this financial decision going to do in the long run? So I guess it's not that much tougher. It's just a different point of view, or just have
Different
to
game.
think about different things. Yeah, different
Just
game.
just view that as your left-footed shot.
Yeah,
Real life. You're gonna work on that in the video game, and
yeah,
more than likely perfect it so that you're nailing left-footed shots.
yeah.
Right.
Start nailing your left-footed shots in life.
Yeah. Right. So life has a set of rules. Games have a set of rules. You know, I think that the reason why I bring this up is like, I think that if you're playing like a game or whatever, it has a clear objective, a clear point, path, whatever you want to do, as rules, you figure those out because you're playing the game. I don't feel like life is too far off from that. Like if you have a clear objective in life and you want to do it, and you have a set of rules in life that you have to follow, like I feel like the same principles can be applied, should be applied to life as they do in like a game. If you want to win, like if you want to do, say you want to be the best basketball player, what did Kobe do? He knew there's a set of rules. He knows it's a game, but it's a game of life. He's just playing ball to pursue his dream. So he did everything in his life game. He practiced more than everybody so he could be the best. If you practice more than anybody at Call of Duty or any other game, you're going to be the best. Facts. If you practice more than everyone, you're going to be the best. I know life's different because you're like, oh, well, I have to go to work and I have to support my family. Yeah, there's different sets of stuff, but like if you're playing a game, yeah, you're focused in, there's only this, and you have pauses and all that, right? But in life, if you just take those same things, same principles, and just scoot them over to pursue whatever dream you want to do, and you give it everything you got, and you practice every fucking day at it, and you give it hell, you're going to get it. I truly believe that.
Yeah, that's a
Okay.
good point. Like, it took me a second to realize that, but I kind of caught myself there because, like you're saying, in sports or in video games, you have a goal. In life, you have a goal. You have to approach it the same way. You got to practice. You have to learn from mistakes and
Yeah.
keep at it. You have to stay motivated.
Yep. Stay motivated. It's a tough one. And that's why I honestly, if I didn't have Eric Thomas in my life to listen to, I probably wouldn't be as motivated as I am. But I feel like my drive and stuff, and on days I'm not motivated, I listen to that guy and he brings something out of me. And so I hold on to that. And I use that all the time. I know it's different for everyone else, but if you can find that, it's going to fuel you. A lot of times I want to just lay down, I want to just chill. But I'm like, no, I got to get up. I need to edit the podcast. I have to put it online. I have to scrub through to find a clip. Just but things you just want to do in life. Like if you can figure that out, it just pushes you and stuff. And then if you want to be the best or you want to make a difference in the world, like those same principles, if you just like, hey, life's a game. Because I mean, from the way I see it, it's kind of a game. It's
Well,
a
if you think of it
complicated
this way,
game.
like how, just think of specific examples when I say this. Like, if you get home and you accomplish a task that has been on your list, and then at the same time you get home and you relax because you kind of need it, which one feels more rewarding? Like
Accomplish
Yeah,
it.
yeah, for
accomplishment,
sure.
Does
because
that
there's
all the
always,
time.
because everything outside of like accomplishing the task, the only thing stopping you from doing that is
You.
your excuses for not
Hmm.
doing that.
Yeah.
And those excuses lead into, oh, I'm tired, I gotta go lay down, because that's my excuse.
Yep.
I
You
mean,
put that excuse for the bigger
there's definitely
picture.
there's definitely a boundary, because I went gung ho on just, I had shit going on. I'm mentally focused. Like as soon as I get off work, I have to bust my ass and do this, and this. And then I found myself at a point where I was sitting there not really accomplishing a whole lot, but with great intentions, and mentally killing myself over it. And I had to get it done because that's where I stood. And then when I decided to just like sit back and just take time off, that was big for me. Like I needed that time to just relax and chill. And I didn't I didn't know that I needed that exactly because I was super focused on doing this, but I'd already accomplished this. I just needed to accomplish it more. And I wanted to, and I was trying to, and I just over focused on, that particular thing that I just needed to take a moment and sit back. But it
Yeah.
felt good at the beginning. I had already done it. I already accomplished it, but it just wasn't enough for me at that time.
Well,
And I need to recharge my batteries.
Yeah, you need balance.
right. Exactly. That's what I was gonna say is there's a difference between like pushing yourself and like taking well needed rest. Like if you push yourself too much, you're gonna wear yourself out, burn yourself out. But that's why a good balance comes in, right? But I feel like that's missing a lot in today's day and age is pushing yourself to that point where you need rest. Because everyone needs
Mm.
rest. And, there's sometimes I'm like, man, I'm just beat down. I need to do this. And some days I don't. And then the next day I'll be like, fuck, I should have done that. But then I'm like, well, I
You
feel
know
so
those
much
days.
better though. I feel so much better. And I'm like, I'm glad I took a rest because I probably needed it. Like your body will tell you, if you need it or you're wearing down and whatever. But like, I feel like there has to be that push though to feel that need. Otherwise, you're just
Mhm.
being lazy. So,
And
be
say, but
blunt.
your mind, you know those days where your mind talks you out of it,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those
Yeah.
are the days that discipline is.
oh,
That's,
those are disappointing days. The next
Yeah.
day,
well,
Yeah.
yeah,
because then it's a makeup day.
well, yeah, yeah. We've all had those. And, don't, don't get it twisted, everyone out there listening. Like, nobody's perfect. Nobody's like, oh, I fucking made it through every single hard time and never fucking gave in and sat on the recliner and took a nap even though I did it. No, everyone fucking does. But it's the willing to push 90% of the time, and giving up rather than like 50 time, 50% you'll get up, 50% you'll lay down. That's when you have to now kick yourself in the ass and be like, no, no, no. I'm not giving good enough. Not to be the best, not to make anything worth it, not to just coast through life. Because if you give 50%, you're going to coast through life. Maybe you're going to be okay. Maybe, maybe you're going to live an average life. Maybe you'll be happy. Maybe you'll be sad. Maybe 50-50. But that's all you're going to get. If you're going to push all the time, guarantee you're going to be a lot happier. You're going to feel more accomplished. You're going to feel better about yourself. 1000%.
And you might be the type that needs an agenda. So
Yeah.
if you're that type, just set it and just
Mm-hmm.
stick to it though. And if you cop out of your agenda, then it's that one's on you. Like you've already set your agenda. Like, okay, so Thursday I'm doing this, Friday I'm doing this. Me personally, I'm not that way. I'm however I feel like I kind of have a set of what I want to accomplish or what I do, and it's almost like a meter that I fill up and like, okay, that's good. Okay, that's good. But for some people, they need an itinerary of this, and this. But if you do that and you don't stick to it, then you're just disappointing yourself.
Yourself. It's like lying to
So
yourself,
yeah, it's almost like
essentially.
is this what my subconscious is telling me to do because this is what I feel like this would make me happy. If I stuck to this every day, it would
Mm-hmm.
make me happy. And then your physical self talks you out of it. But you've already had that conversation with yourself at that point in time because you set that itinerary. So are you arguing with yourself? Are you letting yourself, you know, in the moment talk you out of what you had already set in stone of, what would make me happy? Because then you're just losing a battle against your present self. Like,
Yeah, to
I'm
yourself.
tired. I'm tired in this moment. Well, yeah, you might be tired,
Yeah, you're
but
tired.
I already had this conversation with, myself last week, and this is what I said that would make you happy. Do that and accomplish that. There's plenty of times that I'm just like, I'm done when I get home from work. I'm I'm done. I'm physically spent, but I already have a little mindset of what would, keep me going. I'm
Yeah.
not if I just sit down, I'm gonna feel like shit. And no one's gonna, you know, give me shit about it.
And no one will know but you.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
So if I just one of the big things that I do when I get home is I don't take my boots off. If I don't take my boots off,
Mm-hmm.
then
Me too,
I'm
by the way.
still there. I'm
Yeah.
Hey,
still
I did that today. I got to tell you about it. I did
Yeah.
that today, man. I
attaboy.
thought of you. I thought of you, P.
Yeah. You can't though. If you take it
Yeah.
off, you're done. You're already in rest mode. If you
Oh,
Yeah.
don't,
you're toast.
I listen. I
No.
got home from work and I mowed the lawn in my work clothes because I knew if I got out of them, I wasn't
Oh
gonna do
yeah.
it. But I fucking
Hmm.
just did it today.
Because you're already in that
Yep,
that
in the
suit.
mode. I was like, I don't give a
You're
fuck.
Yep.
I ain't gonna
you,
change my shoes. Nothing.
you've already put on this costume of I have to go to work, and I know what this costume means. It means I'm going to work. I'm going to deal with this. I take this off, and then I turn into whatever the hell I want to turn into. But if
Yep.
you keep it on, then your motivation and your drive is still physically on you. So
Yep.
let it ride. Just go for it. And
Yeah.
then when you're done doing your task, then take it off and just, reap the real rewards of it.
Yes.
Now it's
Yeah.
off.
Yep.
It could
Yeah.
have been off earlier, but now it's really off.
Yep.
And
God,
then let that one set in. Let that, really take over. Be like, I earned this. I can kick my boots up, or I can take my boots off. I can,
Small
kick
victories.
kick my feet up and just be like, accomplished. Everything that I was thinking of. That's done. This is done. This is done. And now you really won.
Mm-hmm.
If you got home and kicked them off initially, yeah, I mean, if that's if that's the day that you don't have to do shit, you don't have anything pressing, and you kick them off and you feel good about it, I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
Everybody
You
needs
need
that.
everyone needs a day,
Everybody needs that.
but not
But
every day.
the ones you talk yourself out of when
You
you're
know
like,
you should.
I could have. I could have.
Yeah. Your
Then
your body, your mind gives up way before your body does.
way before your body does.
Yeah.
That's like
yeah.
That's like Navy SEAL training.
Yeah, bro. You're
Yeah.
every time.
But it's so damn true.
It
Mm-hmm.
is.
And
Even just that changing out of your work clothes. Like, I've been dragging my ass to get our fans and our AC units into the house from the shed. And today I got home, and as much as I wanted to just kick off everything, change into some shorts, go sit down on the couch and chill, I sat there at the door, looked at where I kicked my shoes off, and was like, nope, fuck that.
Yep.
Keep this shit on. Go get everything in the house. Put those in the windows. Tired of this
yep,
house being hot. I'm tired of my girls waking up because they're sweating, and just go do this. And so I
you're
kept everything on.
you're
I
tired
went
of
and did it.
tired of yourself not doing it.
Yep.
So
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
for now to be like who has control of that? It's you.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
And that's the craziest part. And funny thing, I just had a realization moment. I have like certain like outfits, so to speak, when I do certain things. And I think that's why I do them. Like if I keep on my jeans or whatever, and I, have my boots on or and all that, like I know it's
New
work time and
Balance.
I'll do it. Nah, I'm not. I'm not that old yet, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, I am
But if I know if I put on my sweats, it's
done.
either no, no. If I put on my sweats, it's either I'm going to my room to either play some games or work on some videos, right? If I'm in just my chonies, it is bedtime because I know if I'm in bed, if I stay in bed and I don't get up and put on something, my mind will think that it's in bed. Because if I notice about myself is if I put on something like sweats, okay, I know it's time to go and do shit. Or if I put on my pants and my boots or my shoes and that, it's time to go and do shit. Weird how that
Weird because
works.
your mind does that
That's weird how
originally.
that
Like
works though.
as soon as you wake up to your alarm, you do it without even thinking about it. You put on your work uniform
Yeah.
instantly.
Yep.
You have your boots on. You have your high vis or whatever you have to wear for the day, and you automatically know, okay,
It's work
I'm
time.
going to work for 8 hours, 9, 10 hours, however long it takes.
Yeah.
But you're already there. And then if you view that as like okay, I got to the end of that day, and then you go and change again, it's almost like you reset your whole thing. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna go put on my basketball shorts, my pajamas, or something because now I'm switching my mood to this. But if you just keep that momentum going, if that's
Yep.
what you need, at least sometimes
Yeah.
like you're saying, you might need to switch into something to do exactly what your mind relates to. But
Yeah.
for me, if I keep my boots on and just go, don't sit down, then I'm still in full work mode.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've
momentum for
even
sure. Yeah.
here's the funny thing is like on the weekend, like I will put on my work boots with my regular day-to-day pants because those boots, I know the different feeling in wearing tennis shoes and wearing work boots. Like the work boots have a different feeling to them.
Yep.
You're carrying around this fucking heavy ass shoe, and it was funny because I put my regular jeans on with my work boots. I had my leather man in my pocket. I was sitting there, being full dad mode, and my wife was drooling. Loved it. She loved the look of the jeans and the boots. Like, that's getting me going. I'm like, it's getting me going too. I gotta work. But that's my get shit done. Like I even put my work boots on if I have to go mow the lawn, and then when I'm done with it, I'm just like, all right, I'm taking these fucking boots off because they suck. But I mean, that's whatever you need, whatever it takes. Sometimes it's just like a podcast in the ear or a change of settings or something to familiarize yourself with your regular work week to you know let you know that hey, we got to get shit done. But then when it comes to a super chill, let's just relax vibe, that vibe. Your attire that goes with it. Like if I throw my pajamas on, I ain't doing shit. If shit
Um,
comes up, I ain't doing it.
that's crazy that how little we think about that too, because I
Right.
really never thought about it, but I do have certain outfits that I wear when I'm out working in the yard. Once I get that basic outfit on, the shoes, the jeans, or the cargo shorts, whatever the fuck I'm wearing, like
Mm-hmm.
it's business time.
Yeah.
Once I,
Yeah.
get in my relaxing clothes, I'm not doing shit. I might do a little bit, but I'm not gonna work my ass off like when I'm in my, business time
In
clothes.
your business. I bet if what's funny, I bet if you had no ambition to work and you just put on those clothes, you'd probably go and start doing your normal, lawn
Oh yeah.
shit. I guarantee.
Yeah.
If you mow the lawn in certain shoes and certain, pants or shorts or whatever you wear, I bet if you put those on without even thinking, I bet you'd go down and fucking get on the mower,
Mm-hmm.
start chugging. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Well,
crazy. It's Bruno Mars actually says this when he recorded all of his songs, he would dress up, and whatever song he was doing, he would dress up. Like some songs, he would get like a suit and gold chains in the studio. He's like, no one was there but me, but he's like, I had to get into like character almost, feel good, and then he would record his stuff. And I really think there's something to that.
I know there's for sure because I've had my wife call me out plenty of times. Why are you still in your work clothes? Like, well, because
Get
I'm not
shit done.
quite done. I'm not quite done mentally. This is what I need to let me try and get shit done. Sometimes maybe I didn't accomplish it, but I know it wasn't even a possibility if I got out of those worlds and got
Oh
into my
yeah,
basketball shorts and got
nope,
into my pajamas and my slippers, robe. I wear a
exactly.
robe.
Nice.
Because you can't have towels, right?
Oh, fuck.
A robe doesn't
Gloves
wear
on.
the eye. That's odd.
That was soothing. It like hugs me.
But see, that's the thing though, and I don't know if you have a goal, right, or a dream or whatever. Maybe put on a certain outfit to do that, just so you know it's business time. What a reason! Like, I wear a headband because my headset makes my ears itch. Fucking whatever. But when I put it on, I know it's business time. Either A, I'm gonna clap some cheeks in Madden, Thief, whatever, or I'm gonna sit down, scrub through some videos, dig in through, get a bunch of work done. But I know I'm in my mind, I'm gonna get shit done. If I don't have it on, it ain't business time. I'll catch myself browsing, and some of the stuff I'm realizing in the moment. But like it's one of those things that, if you really want to do something like, I would love for this podcast to be, I don't know, pretty big to reach a lot of people. And it's not even for me, not even for any of that. It's for all of you out there listening, for everyone here. Like, it's not even about me. It's bigger than me. It's to spread some knowledge, to let people know that they're not the only ones, to, make their community like you're involved and you're listening in and you're applying shit to your life and taking what, Timbo said, what P said, or, whoever, like, and applying it to your life, or even thinking about it in the situation that you probably wouldn't have, like, is bigger than all of us. And that's honestly, that's a big driver for me, is to, like, sometimes I get up and I know I don't have to, but I'll be like, hey, well, sure, maybe I gotta get up. I gotta edit the video. Let's do this, do this. Well, maybe we'll make some changes or whatever and put it out there. Maybe make it a little better. Maybe make it a little easier for people to listen to. But it's not even for me. Not even for that. That's, I think, what drives me a lot is it's bigger than me, and I
The
do
funny
it
thing is, like,
for like a purpose.
my wife encourages me to do this because she says, I've noticed a difference in you since you've done this, and I know it's very therapeutic for you. And I don't even realize that it's, therapeutic. I just come in here, talk to you guys, go over situations, and kind of just give my input on things. But that alone is a resolve, and it gives an outlet for me
Mm-hmm.
to you guys, to everybody else, that my wife notices. So she encourages it,
Yep.
and it's something that's like you have to kind of trust that she is seeing the results while I'm just almost venting to
Yeah.
to you guys, like, but at the same time, giving input on certain situations and letting you know about my life. I mean, we get pretty, personal and talk about tough situations and just how much it affects individually ourselves. Like, that's a pretty big thing, because that's something that, coming up from, you know dealing with it yourself, that mentality of, I bottle it in, I just, yeah, I won't let anyone know my emotion, can handle, I'll deal with it. It's almost a release that I don't even realize is a release, because now I'm not seeing myself, throughout the week, the weekend, dealing with it myself, because I've already put it out there. I've already talked about it.
Yeah. Dealt with it, so to speak, a little
Mm.
bit, and honestly, it's only gonna go up. It's because, I mean, it's always good to vent, and honestly, venting on here or telling your story or going through something with you guys and stuff is therapeutic. It's great. It's, healing, all the things. And then on days you don't really need healing, or you just kind of talk about it or work through with other people, or just, ask questions or curiosity, like, those are cool. And then, another level I noticed is, like, just doing other things, like sometimes just listening through the podcast to be like, oh, this will make a great clip. Like, this will make such a good point, and I feel like it's really powerful. It'll make a big impact. Just doing that, like, adds another level on top of, like, what we already do, and it's crazy. I didn't think it would, but it does more than you think. You're like, hey, I want people to hear this. I want people to, I want this to, like, make an impact on someone's life. So they're like, okay, let me timestamp it. Okay, let me clip it. Let me do this. Like, even like timestamping, like, man, it's a good one. Even if, one of you guys sees in Discord or whatever, like, sees a timestamp, even if it doesn't get clipped, like even if one of you guys goes back and listens to it, like that's still an impact. Like it's still a weird, like fulfilling moment. You know, and you wouldn't think so just by talking about it, like, but then you do it and you're like, man, this might change someone's day or might give someone the courage or push someone through. Like, you know,
Might even change your day later.
Yeah.
You look back and listen to yourselves and listen to
Yeah.
the talks that you had. Like even to, it's like a way of looking in the mirror, but audio. You get to listen to yourself talk about certain subjects when you didn't even realize at the time that you're saying it. It was just kind of euphorically coming out and blah. There it is. And then you hear yourself say it and you're like, fuck, what a wise individual.
Yeah, exactly. And then you realize how much it can help somebody. And then you realize that everything's bigger than yourself. You know, it's about the collective is, you know, people. It's about, you know, helping people out. I mean, there's nothing better than helping somebody out. You know, pushing somebody through. Or,
Timbo's opening question. What the hell is that?
yeah, Timbo, we're killing everybody.
That's a great question.
Lord, man. You have me fucking doing shit that I'd never do.
What was that? You would molest a child and Brad would murder somebody?
Yeah, ding, ding, ding.
Clip it.
Oh, yeah, pedo. Heard it here first. Heard it here first, buddy.
Listen to that podcast. That's what it's all about.
God damn.
Timbo asking the questions everyone's afraid to ask.
As much as I would love to molest a child, but
Jeez.
I think
P's already got that one covered. No one has to do it after him, guys. It's fine.
I do for all you.
Oh yeah, I'll let him take that chestnut.
That's a
weirdos.
You're the one who was gonna do it, buddy.
For you guys.
Yeah, we were just cheering you on.
Doing
Man.
it for you,
so you wouldn't have to.
I wouldn't run a marathon. I might give someone a high five if they finished.
Yeah, but you'd kill 50 kids for yours.
Fuck yeah, you goddamn right. See you later, nerds.
I think the moral of the story is Timbo's cut off from asking
question.
mind-building questions.
Yeah.
Never. Timbo, you fucking sent us on a weird spiral.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
You know.
Good brain game.
Yeah.
We're calling it.
Brain games, sure, probably, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, solid brain game.
Is there another better name for
that
than brain game? Sounds very vanilla.
Oh, Timbo's is fucking lame game.
I don't know. We all found out a lot about each other.
Yeah, it turned me into a pedo and Brad into a murderer.
Yeah, I know.
Mass murderer.
Timbo's sitting there just fucking hands behind his head. Anarchy.
Yeah. Moral of the story is Timbo's the villain in this scenario.
This guy evidence.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they call Timbo Jigsaw. Putting us in these fucked up scenarios.
I want to play a little game. This is a fucked up game, Timbo.
Yeah. P, you have to touch that kid, but it'll never happen again if you do. You have 30 seconds.
Take out 50 kids.
All right, you're on. Ready to go.
Time starts now. TikTok. Meanwhile, Timbo's just popcorn in hand. Looking at CCV footage.
Somehow got away with not answering my own question.
Yeah, how did that work out, Timbo? All right, 1 to 3, go. Where are you at?
Murder.
Tune in next week when Timbo
murder somebody.
Murder
The fuck out of somebody. I don't. You guys fucked it up with the kid question though. It doesn't have to be a kid. I'd just go pick like some homeless crackhead and murder him, and
Yeah,
nobody else would get murdered again.
yeah. Oh
Not
yeah.
kids.
I mean, shit, you could just get him blackout drunk and just hold him face up while he drowns in his own puke.
Jesus
Murder.
Christ. Murder.
I haven't thought about that. You guys are weird.
I didn't do it. He killed himself.
Yeah. See? Never happen again, though. Guarantee.
Does that count?
I don't know. More the
Timbo, you're a
story.
sick son of a bitch. We'll just lay it right there because
That's true. Some
That's
things.
true. Well, as long as you're willing to admit that.
hey, you came up with
No
a
regrets.
question that just
No
fucking,
regrets.
you put us in a bad spot, and all of a sudden we're terrible individuals. Don't download this podcast, anybody. Whatever you do, don't listen to what the hell we just said because we've committed a lot of crimes. Except Timbo, he's a goddamn gold boy.
Oh,
No.
yeah.
I'm the
Reverse
homeless crackhead
psychology.
murderer.
Reverse psychology. Don't download this podcast.
You want to find out what we actually download the podcast?
Oh,
50
yeah.
kids and one boy.
Keep her tuned.
Keep it, dude.
Oh, yeah. Get your mind out of the gutter in parentheses.
Maybe clip that part out. All of it.
All of it. The whole podcast.
All
We're
of it.
throwing it on the
Oh,
drain.
yeah. What a wash.
Oh man. Well, fellas, I think that was a good episode. I feel like we tackled a lot of shit, got into some good shit.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, besides pedos and murder.
Well, no. Other than that,
Other than
little
that,
small
solid.
We were doing it for the good of all humankind. Damn it.
thing.
That's
Exactly.
right. It's for
We were
you
doing it.
Fox.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to kill these kids. That's my kid.
Yeah. I want to do this. See?
Timbo just. Yeah, fucking who you killing?
You guys fucked me up and got me thinking with the whole 50 kids versus your own kid question. God.
Oh yeah, we had to send it your way at least sooner or later.
Yeah, I hope you have terrible dreams, quite frankly.
Yeah, sleep paralysis, buddy.
Oh, no, Dave, I would
Witch
wish
lady
that.
All
on
right,
my
I don't
desk.
wish that on anyone. Unless you're touching kids.
Well, not even then. You deserve a break. At least be able to run.
All
Don't
right,
be
fella.
paralyzed.
Raise your glass, your beer, whatever you got in your hand. Thanks for
Cheers.
tuning in, folks. Cats, cool cats and kittens out there.
Sorry about the ending.
Sorry about the ending, but it was good. Keep it tuned until next time.
We don't touch kids.